Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's episode of Stay Tuned, where we'll be covering some of the things coming to theaters and streaming for the month of June. We say this every time. We're already we're 6 months deep now
Yeah.
into the year. I am your host for this episode, Jose,
And I'm your other guy, George.
and today we're gonna be covering mostly movies, and there's a couple of TV shows that we have sprinkled in. With no further ado, I say let's just get right into it.
Let's
People
get
don't
it.
have time to waste. They want to hear
Yeah.
what's coming out. So, of course, as always, we start with our favorite, which is going to be the horror
Yeah.
genre. And we have a big one coming out, and that is 28 Years Later. This will be releasing towards the end of the month. It's directed by Danny Boyle. The cast includes Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Cillian or
Uh,
Killian.
Killian Murphy. Killian Murphy, yeah.
Killian.
I know. I always just say
Uh,
Cillian too.
yeah. And I think even both of those are wrong because I could have sworn I heard him in an interview saying it, and I was like, oh, I was way off. But anyway, Mr. Murphy is in it, even though we haven't seen him in the trailer yet. This one's just exploring the aftermath of the virus decades after the outbreak. It's following a group that has managed to survive on an island that they were able to heavily protect because there's a tiny, little strip of land that attaches it to the mainland, making it easily defensible. So now two of these survivors, which I believe Aaron Taylor Johnson is one of them, they're venturing out into the mainland where there is no safety net that they have on the island. So that's the general plot of this. Honestly, I didn't think we were going to get another one of these,
Yeah.
as they were. There's rumors for years. For years, there's been rumors, but it's like so much time passed. I didn't think we were. The first one was a classic, of course. The second one was not received as well, but personally, I thought it was still good. Not
Yeah.
as good as the first one, but it was still a good entry in the series. I mean, the opening scene in that is still amazing. Sometimes I still go back and I'll just like watch the opening scene because it was so well done with the music and everything. So that was really good. As a horror fan and a fan of the first two, I am looking forward to this one. But part of me kind of wonders, like, did they wait too long to release this one? I mean, I'm glad it's Danny Boyle again involved in this one. The first one left a footprint in the zombie genre.
Yeah.
Especially with the raged fast zombies. But this is years now that the zombie craze is kind of like dwindled. So can this one deliver something new that we haven't gotten since that first one came out, where we've seen pretty much every iteration you can do with a zombie? So that's my concern with it is will it offer anything new? That's what will make it great. It can still be good if it executes the same things we've seen very well, but that would be my concern with it. Is like, is it too late and can you give us something new? What were your thoughts on this, George?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely in the same situation as you. But like when you see certain things like Danny Boyle come back, Alex Garland is writing, right? If I saw
Yes.
correctly,
Yep, that is correct.
we like his track record. So it's like when you see those kind of things, you kind of help still feel more on the positive end of things. We always scream the praises for Aaron Taylor Johnson. The dude is
Hmm.
freaking amazing no matter what. I saw like half of Craven on my plane ride coming back to California. Shitty movie. But like there's something about actors who are so undeniable where it's just like, man, you deserve better. You deserve, you know. And I saw the trailer for this. I was like, oh, here's the better that you deserve. This could be it. And like I said, this is a franchise that is really good. I do fear that there could be almost some like Walking Dead, Last of Us, anything like that kind of thing treading into it. Because when you go this deep into the lore of something like this, what's the next step? It's like, well, it goes beyond the infected. It's now humanity is becomes the grotesque monster. Like when we see some of that, we
Hmm.
see that there are some people
Like,
who become
oh,
acolyte like who are worshiping the idea of this disease and other people who are probably more deranged, you know. So those things have been done before, and like you said, how will they put their own twist on that idea then? But I still feel like we're going to get some terrific performances out of it regardless. Just because the zombie genre has been around for so long doesn't mean that it can't still work. And if you got the right team behind it, I think there's some good stuff happening here. And then the trailer didn't fail for me. I think the trailer gave us something that seemed exciting and interesting still. So I'm definitely down for it, honestly.
Same here. Waited already this long, so like
It
once
feels like
it,
it's been 28 years since the first one.
yeah, yeah. The title is actually just how long we've been waiting. See, 20 years later, finally got it. So, so we'll say that's our really like our only like main straight like horror. And I mean, there's another one in here that can kind of
Yeah.
dive towards that, but that's our really our main one. So it's gonna be a slow month when it comes to horror. So let's move into action. We have Ballerina coming out. It's got a longer title. I just call it Ballerina. I don't want to say
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
But that's releasing in early June. The director is Len Wiseman. It stars Anna de Armas, Keanu Reeves is in there, the late Lance Reddick is in there, Angelica Huston, Norman Reedus. The plot of it is a skilled assassin trained under the Ruska Roma seeks revenge against those responsible for her family's murder, tying it into the John Wick universe. So this one takes place between John Wick 3 and John Wick 4. So technically, it starts in the middle of
Yeah.
John Wick 3 and kind of leads into the other one. I believe it should start after if we for those who have seen part 3 after he goes to look for safe passage. And in part 3, that's kind of where this one's gonna kick off. For me personally, the four John Wick movies did not disappoint. You can have your discussion of which ones are better and how to rank them, but for me, as a whole, the series hit throughout the entire thing. And for me, it even, from the first one, it got better from there. So while even though the main series didn't disappoint, the spin-off they did disappoint me, which was the
Yeah.
Continental on there. For those who haven't seen it, it was a 4 episode miniseries, kind of like a prequel following, the Continental in New York. The reason is because like from these movies, the thing that I'm looking for from the John Wick movies is great action, amazing fights, great cinematography, and just very importantly, a high dose of badassery. That's that's what makes John Wick movies good. The spin-off for me failed to nail all of those elements. It was a lot more subdued, so it almost only felt part of that world in name. That's it, like with the name dropping. So these movies, the stories, they're not intricate at all. So that's not what you go to these movies for. You don't go to be like, oh my God, that story, so many twists, turns, it was so elaborate. Like, yeah, no, that's not what these movies are for. That's not what makes them work. So all that to say that this movie's success to me will depend on its action, its fighting, and its set pieces that it presents to us. Now, Anna proved to us, at least in my opinion, in 007, she can pull off badass action star. And the
Yeah.
little snippet she was in, she left people wanting more of her, and people were asking for a spin-off of her character. So we know she can do that. So if the movie can deliver those high octane action entertainment, I know her performance is going to deliver. That's going to be what makes or breaks this spin-off. And I think can affect if we get any other John Wick spin-offs in the future. So I'm actually looking forward to this. I'm gonna watch it probably when it comes out in theater. What are your thoughts on this?
I likewise was very weary, I think, when it first was announced, because I too was not into the Continental. I thought that was a waste of our time, honestly. It could have been something really cool, and it's just like, all right, why did this happen? And a part of it, I think, is because if you don't have the same creative team that worked on the movies, that's at least in there, watching over things, then there's no point. But I've been seeing behind the scenes stuff for this one. I've been reading more about it and hearing from insiders who are close to like these projects, and I'm actually turned around. It's like, okay, this could be another great installment for the John Wick series. Seeing her train with Keanu and just like go in for those hard hits. Like if we can see her get beat up like John Wick does, then there's going to be that believability that we need. and it could be a really fun thing. I think me and Jen were watching something about it the other day, and Jen brought it up, and she's just like, I really hope this isn't another one of those tiny little person who has no right beating up a giant man kind of films. She's like, I want to see her get thrown around and get her butt whooped and then persevere again, like find a way to take the guy down. Kind of like Atomic Blonde. I think Atomic Blonde did a good job
Yeah.
of leveling that kind of stuff out, you
Another
know.
one, not an amazing movie, but they did
No,
that part well,
but the
is
action was
Mal
good.
22.
Yeah,
In there,
yeah.
she got destroyed, but she she was a badass character. She was able to
Exactly.
persevere at the end.
Yeah, so I think if they can pull that off, then there could be something really cool here. And it is the same team. It's the same team that gave us John Wick, So I have faith that they'll actually give us something really amazing and something like you said, some badassery, because that's what it's going to take. I will also push back that is it great storytelling? Maybe not, but their lore building has been actually pretty good. I think that's some of like the cherry on top that's made this franchise last even longer. It's not just the glitz and glamour of the hard hits and the great camera angles. I think there is a world that they've built that is intriguing. So when the Continental show was made, it's like, I want to see more of this world. All right. Which I think is what made that show more disappointing. It's like, you guys built such an intriguing world in the movies. Why couldn't you just present that in a better way in a TV format? So I think they do have something that's really cool that we want to see more of.
That is true. You make a very good point there that the while the individual story and motivation in it isn't very intricate, the world little by little became intricate, and they built good lore behind it. Because I do remember wanting to know more, more of the rules of that world
Yeah,
in
yeah,
there. So I did that. I do give you that. The lore building, which this has the opportunity to expand on beyond John Wick's thing. We saw hints of the ballerina world.
yeah.
So, this can expand on that. And then who knows, it might create its own, Ballerina 2, Ballerina 3, and see how it goes from there.
Which
So
I'm a fan of Anna de Armas, so like she knocks it out. Yeah, give me more of her. I will watch her
I'm,
all day.
I'm right there with you. Moving on from Ballerina, we have staying in action, but this is more an animated action, is Predator Killer of Killers, coming out in late June. Director of this is Dan Trachtenberg. In there, he was behind Prey, and he is behind the new Predator live action that's coming out. Plot of this one is it's a new deadly predator arrives, hunting down the most dangerous killers on Earth, leading to an intense battle for survival. Uh, no lie, seeing this trailer, it made me so happy, George.
Yeah.
I was so, like automatically smiled when I saw the trailer. You know, I'm a big Predator fan. Always have been. I've been with the series through the good, such as the original and even Prey, and I've been in with the series through the bad, like The Predator and AVP and
Yeah.
installments like that. This looks very appealing to me, mainly because with the animation format that they've chosen, it looks like they're not holding back with the brutality. And Predator should be brutal,
Yes.
at its core. So, and then next, it looks like we're getting like three different types of battles that can each offer their own unique spin. We're getting Predator versus like Viking warriors, Predator versus ninjas. And something that I didn't even think of before. We're getting Predator in like a World War II setting in a dogfight.
Yeah.
Predator in the air. Like I didn't know I wanted that, but seeing this trailer, I want it now. Like I want to see that dynamic because it's one we haven't seen from Predator to a great extent. So I'm sold. I'm in. My ass day one is seated watching this one. What are your thoughts?
I was a little bit harder to sell on this, oddly enough, because I too love Predator. I think it's one of the most badass creature alien designs ever in cinema. And so like I hold it at a high degree. Plus I like the comic books of Predator and Alien versus Predator. And I'm always disappointed when they just don't take from the comic lore because there's so much that's built in there. So I was a little hesitant when I saw this. And the animation didn't, it's not bad animation, but it made me think of the Mugwai Gremlin thing that was on like HBO or something.
I didn't even watch that.
I saw like an episode and I was like, yeah, I'm out of this. But it brought me back to that. But the more I saw on it, and especially the ending, because like you said, the dogfight situation was like, okay, that's different. That's cool. They do have ships. Their ships do seem badass. Why wouldn't their ships be equipped with some badass shit? Okay, that's awesome. To finally have like them against some kind of Japanese like ninja samurai thing. I'm disappointed it's not live action because that's what we really want
Which
as
what was
fans.
rumored a couple of years ago that that was going to
Yeah.
be it.
But you know what? I'm getting to see it regardless. And seeing like that moment where like they're on the rooftop, he drops that smoke bomb and he appears through the smoke. It's like, that's really cool. This is the kind of shit I want to see with my predators and some of this stuff. And going through the timeline of them on Earth. I think there's gonna be some badass shit. I will also note that at the end, the thing that really locked me in was that end scene in the trailer where the this big predator is coming off of the ship and he has these long tendrils and
Hmm.
they're tails from aliens, from the xenomorphs. And it's just a bunch of tails. So it's like, oh wait, how badass is that guy that he has like 10 plus tails from xenomorphs? It's like, okay, I gotta know more about that guy. So it means I gotta watch this now.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, man. I mean, I really hope I'm not disappointed. Oh, I know the new live action, the trailer that I saw, it has me wary, not fully sold yet off the trailer. So, like, if this one ends up being good, it might make me a little more comfortable with the live action because we got Prey from this director, and
Yeah.
that was amazing. If he's able to nail this one, that'll be two successful Predator projects. So even though I'm not fully sold on the new live action, if this one holds water and does and it ends up being very good, I think it would ease my trepidation a little bit when it comes to the live action. So I'm counting on this one.
Yeah, no,
So
for sure. I find with Prey and even like the new Badlands that's coming out, my issues constantly be the design. The facial design of the Predator is not Predator. It's not the out that like I just don't like how it looks. I feel like that
yeah,
they have no connection to what Predator should look like. But the animation does feel a lot closer in some exaggerated ways to what the Predator should look like.
yeah,
So that actually got me a little more excited. I gotta say, but the guy has a good grasp on how to handle their presence
yeah.
amongst their prey, per se, pun intended.
And taking their motivation into account in how they
yeah,
approach things.
yeah. So I think he's gonna capture that well, regardless of which film we go into here.
All right. Next one for the action, we have F1 coming. A little bit of a different action.
Yeah,
This is directed by Joseph Kosinski. Stars Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Carrie Condon, Tobias Menzies. So the plot of this is a retired Formula One driver returns to mentor a rising star, facing fierce competition and personal struggles. Now, with movies like Maverick and Tron Legacy under his belt, this director has shown they have a knack for handling action and making the action look good. I'm not really into racing, but this looks interesting to me because I'm gonna be honest, I miss good sports movies.
yeah,
And this gives me kind of the same vibes as I got with some older sports movies I used to watch, and love growing up. And I miss that. So that's why this one has me a little bit intrigued. It looks like it's gonna have a chance to be a big adrenaline, ride. Just off the trailer, it seems beautifully shot the way
yeah.
the action's done, not very basic, in the way it's presenting it with the look. So I'm willing to give this a try, and hopefully it can scratch that itch that I've wanted from a real quality like sports movie. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't think this director knows how to do basic. I think that's why. Because like you mentioned Maverick and Tron. I believe my first time seeing this guy direct anything was I don't remember like back in the day Gears of War, and there was a
Mm.
trailer that they had made for like maybe part two or part one, whatever, and it was set to I think Mad World, like the Gary Jules
Yes,
version of Mad World.
I do remember
He
that.
directed that.
That
And
almost made me buy an Xbox.
it was one of the most badass things that we ever saw, like for a video game. You know, because video games didn't really have trailers back then, not like that. Like this was so cinematic and fucking ridiculous. And he had great angles and everything. You felt like you were in the action with these characters. I think that's what he really escalates at, I guess we'll say, is that he puts you in the cockpit. He puts you in the driver's seat, and you feel like I'm watching a trailer. I'm feeling every turn and feeling that pull, of the turbulence or whatever that
Mhm.
they're going through. And I think that's really special and important, especially for like a racing movie. Growing up, we had movies like Days of Thunder, stuff like that. Great movies, but I don't think they capture it the way that it is now. I think a great racing movie now, like Rush, was a really good one. Uh,
Yes, I
Gran
actually enjoyed
Turismo was
that one.
actually surprisingly good, like way better than it ever should have been.
I agree.
You
I didn't
know,
give that one a chance, and it really surprised me.
Yeah, so like I think this is going to be up there for like probably one of the greater or greatest racing movies that we could see. And I'm actually a big fan of racing movies. I don't drive personally, and I don't have a car, so it doesn't seem like I'd be a car guy. But because of my dad, I do like cars, and I like the muscle behind it. I love hearing the freaking engine and that roar. It's like there's something very like one of the most masculine things you could think of. It's like it's racing and cars,
Yeah,
putting our life on the line. You know. And so like it seems like a really cool movie. And come on, Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's always awesome. And he's
yeah,
he's in his I don't give a crap, I'm just having a good time era. You know what I
yes.
mean?
And that's been a really good version of Brad Pitt.
Yeah. So like that's I think this is gonna be really good, honestly. And I
Okay.
if I can't convince the wife, I'm going by myself. I don't care. I want to see this movie.
Yeah. This one looks like it's gonna shake and bake in the
Yeah.
theater. So, all right, moving on to sci-fi. We have The Life of Chuck coming out towards the end of June. Originally, when I saw this trailer, I didn't get the idea of sci-fi,
I was
but
about to say it's like what part is sci-fi in this?
I don't see that in the trailer, but when I was looking it up, it kept being categorized as sci-fi. So I was like, whatever, I'll roll with
Okay.
it. This is being directed by Mike Flanagan. The cast is Tom Hiddleston, Mark Hamill, Karen, is it Gillan or Gillian? Gillian?
Karen Gillian, I believe.
Gillan? Yeah. And Chiwetel Ejiofor. Yeah,
That's pretty close.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
That's just good.
Yeah. So this is based off of a Stephen King novel. The film explores three interconnected stories unraveling the surreal and emotional journey of Charles Krantz. Uh, Now, from the trailer I saw, I believe there's multiple trailers. I only watched one trailer. It was good enough to, kind of give me an idea on how I felt about it. You don't really get much of a sense of story from the trailer,
Yeah.
but between the dialogue and the music, you get a sense of a feeling of like hope and positivity from it, which made it interesting to me because you have two names that are mostly recognized by people for horror. You have Stephen King, of course, and you got Mike Flanagan. And then you have a movie that looks like this feel-good story. Horror is nowhere at all seen within this. And don't get me wrong, I love me some dark movies. But every once in a while, it's good to have a movie that you're gonna come out feeling like good. And this seems like it's that type of movie where you're gonna go in there and you're just gonna come out feeling warm, after it. Warm. I'm not sure if it's like peeing your pants warm, but just you're gonna
Or
have
some
this
hot coffee on
internal
your lap
warmth.
warm.
Yeah, like what kind of warmth? You're gonna come out feeling warm in there. So this one, I am kind of looking forward to it. All of the people involved in this are people that I like between like the cast, the director, and then it being Stephen King. And we've discussed before some of the best Stephen King adaptations are not horror.
Yeah.
So this might join the list up there. So what were your thoughts on this one?
Oh yeah, the same one here. The trailer I watched gave no inclination that it could be close to anything related to sci-fi or anything real close to horror. From my research on it, there's like a ghost related part, like I guess when he's in the younger part of his life, and so there's a little bit of that, but it's not supposed to be scary. It is, from what I've seen, is just a really a positive look on life, and it's like a life affirming kind of movie. And everyone a part of it has been saying positive things. They've been relating it to things like Shawshank Redemption and Stand By Me, other Stephen King, stories, where at the end, you come out of it feeling like a better person, feeling like you yearn for more kind of thing. And it looks like Hiddleston has had a wonderful time making this film, a very joyful experience and everything. Not typical of what you think of when you think of Mike Flanagan. Stephen King, yes, like we know he makes these things every once in a while, but Mike Flanagan, I only think of horror. So it's just like, all right, let's see what you got, man. I was like, you again, another person who hasn't disappointed with what he's done. He's got a great track record, and I like when someone does something out of their wheelhouse. That really shows me how flexible and how well-rounded you truly can be as a creator. So this could be interesting. I granted, I don't watch dramas in the theater as much as I used to, and that's what this feels like it's going to be. So I might
Mhm.
not be in the theater to watch it, but I'll definitely see it once it comes on streaming.
Yeah. No, that is true. Yeah, my friend again already is he's earned the automatic label for me when it comes to horror. If I see my Flanagan attached, I'm
Yeah,
watching it. If he's able to nail this to the same degree he's nailed horror, then you might have to start elevating him as a director beyond just being a great horror director.
yeah.
So we'll see. All right. Coming also, that month from Sci-Fi, we have a TV show called Ironheart. This is directed by Sam Bailey and Angela Barnes. It stars Dominique Thorne, Anthony Ramos, Lyric Ross, Alden Ehrenreich. This is following the events of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Riri Williams returns home to Chicago, where she becomes entangled with an enigmatic Parker Robbins, aka the Hood. As she continues developing her Ironheart suit, she finds herself caught in a battle between technology and magic. This is coming to Disney Plus. This looks okay. It doesn't look amazing, but honestly, I don't think it doesn't look worth all the extreme hate it's getting online. This is getting hated on like it's Thor 2. And and it hasn't even come out yet.
Uh,
At least for me from the theater, it didn't look amazing, but it didn't look like horrendous to warrant the level of hate again that it's getting. Do I feel it's going to surprise people and be great? I mean, there's always the possibility, but there's some red flags for me in here that kind of point that it might not be that strong. One is the fact that the marketing for this has been pretty much non-existent. Like Disney's
mhm.
trying to bury it. That's not a good sign. Two, I believe this is all releasing at once instead of the normal week to week that Disney has done. So, is this because they feel that it won't grab an audience enough to go week to week like they normally do? So that was kind of a red flag for me. They're releasing it at once and kind of changing their strategy with this one. But it's on streaming, so I'll give it a try, but I'm giving it a try with tempered expectations. I hope it surprised me. I feel like it's one of those things that it's not going to be the worst Disney show to come out, but it's might not be memorable. It might just be at best mediocre, which might be okay for a series that seems like a throwaway for Disney. What were your thoughts?
Like you've been very generous towards this show. I don't hate it as much as Twitter hates it. Uh, but this was not something that wanted on my radar whatsoever. I know that this has been done for quite some time, and this is one of the projects that if they could have scrapped it, they would have. But it's like I said, it's been done, so it's like, all right, let's just get it out there, get rid of it, so that we can move forward. Because this was a part of the old regime, and now Feige is like we said before, he's trying to clean house and trying to start anew. And so yeah, this is not going to affect in any way what's coming into the future. So I don't feel people have to really worry about missing out on this one all that much. Uh I've never been much for this character either, honestly, of Riri Williams. Nothing against like the actress or anything. I think the actress was fine. She didn't do anything wrong in the Black Panther film, and it doesn't look like she's doing anything wrong in this trailer from what I've seen of the show. It's just the character itself isn't worthwhile. And then at least in the comic books, she was somewhat tied to Tony Stark. In this, like, she's not tied to Tony Stark whatsoever, but yet she's fully emulating him. And so I think the reasonable critique that people should be having is the fact that they're really trying to push her as this original character in the sense of like she's original, she's not copying anybody, but she's clearly copying somebody. She's clearly trying to be like Tony Stark. Like you like one of the lines of dialogue in the trailer is just like I want to do my own thing or I want to do something great or something like that. And it's like, well, if you want to do that, show how great you are by doing something that's not the Iron Man suit, because that's what this is. That being said, it is nice seeing an Iron Man suit that's not nanotech.
Yeah,
You know, it's nice going back to like the old school way of like a physical kind of looking suit. I believe they did build a suit too to actually get some good like schematics off of and create something that's what works well for the CG to work off of, you know, as opposed to just imagining what it could be. So I think those are kind of nice things. And I like Anthony Ramos. I think he's an up and coming young actor who we can see some amazing things from. I wish they gave him a better character than the Hood. The Hood's not the best villain to fucking work off of, so it kind of sucks to have one of our boys not have something that's a little
wasted.
better. Yeah, it's wasted talent. That kind of stuff annoys me, you know? It's kind of like with Yahya Abdul, who's going to be in Wonder Man. It's like, why are you wasting him on Wonder Man? He could have been Black Panther, you know? So like those kind of moves just annoy the crap out of me. I'll probably have this on in the background as I work on something more important, but I'm not excited for this.
Yeah. I'm not excited either, but I'll give it a try because it's not going to cost me anything.
Yeah,
You know.
we already paid for
So
the subscription, might as well.
moving on to the next one, we have an animated movie, Elio. This is directed by Adrian Molina. The cast is Jonas Kibri, America Ferrera, Jamila Jamil, and Brad Garrett. This is Pixar's newest animated feature, which follows Elio, a boy who unexpectedly becomes Earth's ambassador to the Intergalactic Council. Uh, I keep it simple. Pixar has earned my trust because even bad Pixar is still good by other standards. The story, appears to revolve around friendship and underdogs, a kid who's different and struggles to make friends, finding purpose and connection. So a very Pixar story, and
Yeah.
I'm on board. Honestly, I didn't care what the story was going to be, just seeing Pixar there. I'm gonna give it a try just because for me, they haven't fully mixed the mark at any project. What are your thoughts?
I agree like 99% with what you just said. I think Pixar is amazing. I think they only failed with one movie, and that was Lightyear. Besides that, everything else
Oh
is
yeah,
yeah, Lightyear
Lightyear.
was there's nothing redeeming for that movie for me, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
you're right.
But besides that, like you said, they're amazing at what they do, you know. And the team behind this has worked on Coco and Turning Red specifically. And I enjoyed those two movies thoroughly. They're so freaking good. I rewatched Turning Red a bit because it's so different from what you expect from a Pixar. And this looks like a cute movie. I watched a couple of the trailers. It looks really adorable. This and it feels almost like going back to like the 80s. Remember, like in the 80s, there was always like these adventures for like when you were a little boy and some alien thing comes up. Not just like E.T., but there was like Flight of the Navigator. You had the Last Starfighter. I guess you have Mac and Me in there. Why not throw it in there? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. But like, you know, there was always like this idea of like the something out or that was greater, and you're this little child who gets to go on this adventure of something amazing. You know, I got some of that from this, but since it's a cartoon, they could do so much more.
Hmm.
And so like, I think there's something special here still. Like I said, it's Pixar. You're not gonna fail with going with them. I think it's gonna be something cool.
I agree. I'll be there for it. I mean, probably not in the theater, but I,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
watch
I
it.
don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of kids in the theater. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But as soon as it's available for me to watch, I'll probably watch it.
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, in this one, for this category, we have Megan 2.0, releasing towards the second half of June. This is directed by Gerard Johnstone. The cast includes Allison Williams, Violet McGrath, Ronnie Chang. The plot is the AI-powered doll returns more advanced and deadlier than before, leading to a terrifying new chapter in the horror franchise. Look, I know Megan was very dividing for a lot of people, but I enjoyed it. Okay, call it a guilty pleasure, but it was a
Yeah.
fun movie
Yeah.
to me that leaned into its ridiculousness while still providing some element of horror. There was some good scenes in there. Following in the steps of let's say like Happy Death Day, this one seems to like almost switch genres for the sequel, kind of like Happy
Yeah.
Death Day did, and also go bigger for the sequel. This one seems more action sci-fi than horror, and just leaning even deeper into the ridiculousness of the concept. I mean, there's always a risk that you lean in too much and create a mess. So, that's something they have to watch out for. So we'll have to see. Do they lean in without going overboard and, jumping the shark, as they would say, too
Yeah.
much?
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not sure if this will be an early theater viewing for me, but I'll definitely be watching it at some point, just kind of hoping it can follow that same path and be like a Happy Death Day to You, which was, a change up, a a going bigger and changing genre, but still providing an interesting and good experience, just as this first one did. What were your thoughts on this one?
Oh yeah, like I'm with you. I thought Megan, the first movie, that was a good time. I wish they pushed it a little further. Like it was when you watch it, it's like there's an R-rated movie in here somewhere that I want to see,
Yeah.
And I was disappointed to see in the sequel it's PG-13. And it's like I'm pretty sure there's an R-rated movie in here somewhere. Like if we're gonna go heavier, like go heavier in that. Uh, I was surprised with the direction this was going in too, because you got the hints that with the end of the first one, it's like, all right, this isn't over yet. There's gonna be more to come with this little robot. And I didn't anticipate them going in a route of like making her a good guy that has to fight an eviler version of herself. I was like,
They went
okay,
kind of
that's
Terminator route with it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. And I was like, at first I was like, I don't know if that's what I wanted. But I was like, you know what? I didn't know I wanted Megan either. So in turn, maybe this is what I deserve. All right. Maybe I deserve this. And I like it when a group is self-aware of what they got, and it's just like I said, they lean into it and everything. It's almost like to some sense like the Evil Dead. Evil Dead tried to make a horror movie, and they're like, wait a second, we're really funny. Let's just make a comedy instead. And then it works. So who knows? Maybe there's something here that's going to evolve into that could be something special all within itself. And the Megan thing, it seems cool. It's just like its own version of Chucky, and just in its own way. I was just like, I like that it's like you think of Chucky when you see it, but it subverts that and goes in its own direction.
Mhm.
Like this little thing is still concerned with protecting its best friend, its owner. It doesn't break from that. It truly is a my buddy, and
Yeah.
it will take out anything in its way. So it's like, okay, I'm behind this. I think there could be some more cool stuff to see in this.
The trailer made me laugh. It had some moments there that made me laugh. So, well, I'm in.
Yeah. There's a
Book
weird
it.
charm. There's a weird
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how you're doing it, Megan, but I'm in. Uh, all right, moving on to suspense thriller. The first one we have here coming out in early June is Dangerous Animals. It's directed by Sean Bryn. The cast includes Hassie Harrison, Jai Courtney. The plot of it is a shark-obsessed serial killer holds Cypher, a rebellious surfer, captive on his boat. Racing against time, she must figure out a way to escape before he carries out his ritualistic feeding to the sharks below. Nothing in this trailer excited me, George. I'm gonna be honest right off the bat. Nothing in the trailer.
Wow, okay.
Okay, first, I'm not a fan of Jai Courtney.
Oh,
His
okay.
portrayal of Boomerang probably was the closest thing to like entertaining me.
Yeah,
The concept didn't really catch my attention. This one just gave me very straight to DVD or streaming like vibes.
yeah.
It's suspense thriller, but kind of leans into horror. So, I might eventually give this a try when it goes to streaming, just because it has elements of horror and I just like horror. But I'm not excited about this one at all. This will be one that I probably forget that it comes out, and then when they run into it, be like, oh, I'll give it a try. What were your thoughts?
I mean, I didn't feel, I guess, that down about it when I saw it. I do think that Jay Courtney has potential. I don't think it's just used to the fullest at times. Like they try to put him in some of these action movies that just don't work well for him. I think of like the Die Hard series, and
Yeah.
then what was that other the Terminator one? Don't do that. Like the guy's funny. And I think that's what maybe attracted to this is because I saw some of that humor that he brought to Boomerang, but put that behind a killer. It's like that could be something cool then. So I got actually interested in this. I kind of want to see this. It also has more of like an indie horror feel to it. It doesn't feel like big mainstream kind of thing. The director behind it was also the guy who did the Loved Ones. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I
It's
think I have.
this girl kidnaps a dude and she makes him like her prom date or whatever, like inside her house. And we
Mm.
come to find out that she's been kidnapping dudes like a lot, and
I
that
know
they're
which movie, but I haven't seen it, but I know which movie you're talking
okay.
about.
Yeah, so the guy directed that, and I thought that was a good movie. So I don't know. I feel like even though there's been years apart from like that film and this film, he has done some other horror type films in between. So I think I want to give this a shot. Again, it probably won't be in theaters, you know. But I'm more interested in this one, I guess, out of the two of us, because
Yeah.
I have faith in the actor and the director.
Yeah, maybe. I think the other thing for me is the one setting aspect in the boat. Those it tends to be hit or miss when you restrict
For
yourself to
sure.
one small setting like that. But we'll see. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I will never hope to get a bad movie. I always hope to get a good movie, and then hopefully it ends up being that.
Yeah,
We'll see.
and it's something special like that where the least of your worries is a shark. Sharks are freaking terrifying. You're in the ocean, and you're like, well, man, I want to be in the ocean because of freaking sharks. And it's like, oh, that's not even the big thing to worry about. Got this asshole freaking who's keeping me here. That's my freaking biggest concern. I might outswim the shark. I don't know about this guy who's on the boat with me. So like
Yeah.
that angle, creates a different sense of tension to it as opposed to just another Jaws kind of film.
All right. Staying within suspense thriller, we have Echo Valley coming out in the second half of June. This is directed by Michael Pierce. It stars Julianne Moore, Sydney Sweeney, and Domhnall Gleeson. This is coming to Apple TV. The plot of it is a mother must protect her daughter when a dangerous secret threatens their peaceful life in Echo Valley. Um, what were your thoughts on this one?
I feel like I've seen something like this before, like this story to some extent. Uh, I'm probably gonna watch it only because of the fact that I like the main two act. Nothing is Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney's amazing, but I like Julianne Moore quite a bit, and I feel like Domhnall Gleeson is always phenomenal in everything he's in. We always talk about how great Apple is. It's a thing I already have. I'm gonna watch whatever Apple's gonna show me. So like, I think there could be something like with some good high tension here. I feel like it tries to give a mystery in there that I don't care about, but I think I'm in it for the tension that it's going to build, and like this mother who's going to do anything to protect her daughter, who appears to be a constant screw up.
Mhm.
So I think I'm kind of interested in this.
Yeah. This looks like it's going to be a good thriller to me. Julia Moore always brings it. And this looks like a more dramatic role for Sweeney than I've personally seen before. I'm not saying
Mm,
that she hasn't done it before, but that I've personally seen. The acting in this looks like it's going to be strong. Like you said, there seems to be like a mystery element of it of, you know, we know the mother helps her. How far is the mother going to go? But then also, how honest is she being with her mother? Is she
yeah,
using her mother? Is she manipulating her? Is what really happened truly what happened within there? So there's going to be that aspect with Sweeney's character, which I think gives potential for her to like really like stand out in her performance if she's able to play that gray area where you don't quite know exactly what she's thinking or what her motivations are. Like you being an Apple TV, they tend to hit way more than they miss because they barely miss. So I'm willing to give this a try.
yeah. No, I find funny. I don't know if you've encountered this, but there's a lot of talk online about Zendaya being in everything, and people are sick of it.
Mhm.
Have you heard this complaint at all?
I have seen that. Yes.
I feel like she's only in like five things that I've ever seen. Sydney Sweeney, she's in everything. I feel like within 2 weeks, I saw like 10 trailers pop up with her where she's in this show, she's in this movie, she's doing this, she's directing a movie. I was like, this girl's in everything. She's popping up everywhere. And I hear zero complaints about it.
Nope. Not. Not at all. They
I
people want
try to
more.
figure out what could be the reason of why no one's complaining about her being in all the things that she's in.
I don't know. Don't know. Not at all. I don't know. For some reason, yeah, there is a difference in how it's being received. But you are right. Honestly, I mean, I might have missed some things, but I feel like I don't see that much Zendaya stuff out there. I
Yeah,
definitely see more Sweeney than her.
and Sweeney's in everything.
Yeah.
You got a comedy, she's in it. You got a horror movie, she's in it. She's popping up in whatever else she wants.
But I am glad that she is not sticking with just one thing. It
No,
could be very easy for her to just play the attractive love interest and rom-coms over and over and over again and just do that. But she's diving into horror, she's diving into thriller, she's going into drama, she's doing comedy. So she's doing a little bit of everything, which I definitely respect because she can easily make money and do well just sticking with one thing and that's it. But she's definitely giving into the craft. So I
yeah.
respect that. All right, moving into drama. First we have Stick. This is also coming to Apple TV. The directors here are Valerie Faris, Jonathan Dayton, and David Dobkin. This stars Owen Wilson, Peter Dagger, Mark Marone, Mariano Trevino. The plot of this is a washed up former golf pro named Price Cahill takes a chance on mentoring a troubled teenage golf prodigy, Santi Wheeler, in hopes of reclaiming his own lost glory. As they navigate the world of professional golf, they form an unlikely bond that changes both their lives. Now, as I said earlier, we don't get many sports movies anymore. This is not like the 90s that we were getting them like all the time. We're getting two sports movies in this month. There happen to be two sports that I don't follow, but I'm again willing to give it a try. This one definitely it's different. So it's not we're getting two of the same type of sports movies. This one doesn't look as intense as F1 does. Honestly, which fits the sport because golf is not really intense at
Yeah.
least from a viewership aspect. I'm sure it's intense for the competitors, but viewership, it isn't. It's a slower pace, more chill like sport. Um, in there, this one looks also more family friendly than F1 and more feel good than adrenaline rush that you got with the other one. So definitely giving us a different tone. It's going to streaming. It's Apple TV, so I am willing to give it a try. I saw the trailer; it didn't blow me away, but it also was like, okay, I'm curious to see how this story goes. So I'll be giving it a try. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm actually a fan of golf stories for some reason. I don't know what it is. There's always like a good underdog story when it comes to like golf movies and golf stories. And that right there, I guess, was already a selling point. Owen Wilson is great at being the hopeless protagonist in any kind of story he's in. It feels like a return to form for him. It's like, yeah, we've seen him do this before, so you can count on him doing a good job. I also like Mark Maron's in it. I like Mark Maron quite a bit. He's got a great crass, I just don't give up crap attitude and like anything he's in. Like he's not a character actor. He's just a stand-up who's just good at being like, what the hell? I don't give a fuck. You know. So like I think it's gonna be kind of fun and charming, honestly. Again, it's one of those stories like we've seen this, the guy who's run out of luck in his career, but has the know-how to help the young talent who could make it all the way, so he's kind of like getting that second chance to live vicariously through this new potential. So it's been there, done that, but could be fun still.
Yeah. Which is the one concept that both movies share. That's
Exactly.
all
Yes.
washed up people from a sport, kind of helping out a up and coming, potential star. Uh, with the difference in this one being it's more of a coaching aspect, not actually physically still doing the sport like you are getting with Brad
Yeah.
Pitt's character. Lastly, we have Mercy of None coming out in the first half of June. This is directed by Choi Sung-eun. This is coming to Netflix. This stars a bunch of people whose name I'm going to butcher right now, so I will say this ahead of time.
Uh,
So Ji Sub, Lin Yang Hyuk, An Kil Kang, and Hyo Jong Ho. I will stop there and not press my luck any further when it comes to names. But
That wasn't that bad though.
okay,
That was pretty
all
decent. That
right.
was
Uh, the plot of this is you have a former gang member, Nam Yin Yang, who has left his violent past behind. But when his younger brother dies under mysterious circumstances, he is forced back into the criminal underworld to uncover the truth and seek revenge. This is based off of, I guess, a popular webcomic called
yeah.
Guanayan. George, we've had this conversation before. I love me some good South Korean thriller and action movies and horror. I just love me some South Korean movies in general. They rarely disappoint me. And this looks like it has the potential to offer some good action, very good revenge story, which, they have done well many times. I've seen a lot
Yeah.
of good revenge stories, from South Korea. I will be seated for this. It's going on Netflix, so I'm willing to, give it a try. And I'm kind of excited for it. I feel like I haven't seen one in a while, so I'm due. I'm due for another good South Korean, you know, action thriller drama. So, what are your thoughts on
Yeah,
this?
very much likewise. At certain moments in the action scenes gave me like old boy kind of feels, like especially like that hallway scene.
Mhm.
But it felt like they were almost like doing their own thing, but showing like the homage and like the inspiration from that. And exactly, the Koreans do a great job with these kind of series and these kind of stories. Like their underground world is so freaking intriguing and freaking cool, dark and cool. Like, there's this whole intricacy of how that whole thing works that is just I feel like we don't get much anymore. It makes me think back to like The Godfather kind of stuff, like the Italian mafia kind of shit. We haven't got a lot of good ones of those in a while. Korea's coming in and filling in that void in a great way. So like I'm all for this, honestly. I haven't ended up looking up the web comic. It was whatever. It didn't seem like anything special, honestly. There was maybe a couple of still panels that look kind of cool, but otherwise I was like, man, I don't know how this got inspired to make this, but thank you, I guess, because the show looks like it's gonna be badass. So
Yeah, and one thing that they do well with these types of movies, with the thrillers, with their actions, especially, is I don't know if you feel the same. I feel they carry a higher weight of stakes and uncertainty than you get with American
oh
versions of
yeah.
it. For the most part, 95% of the time when you're watching some similar movies that are American made, in there you can pretty much feel who's safe and who isn't. Not saying you're always right, but generally.
Yeah.
But when it comes to South Korea and the projects that they put out, especially if you've seen enough of them in a way, the the stakes and the tension you feel while you're watching it is higher because you kind of get a little bit of that Game of Thrones, no one is fully safe
Yeah.
in this, and characters that might seem important might be taken off the board at any point. So it creates that extra tension where they keep you on edge. So I think that's what adds to the enjoyability of these type of movies you get from South Korea, is that you can't get too comfortable with the characters like you can with a lot of the American movies or American TV shows where you have a lot of untouchables when it comes to characters. I'm not sure if you agree with that.
No, it's very true. I think that's why we gravitate towards them so much in this current age, is because we're so used to everyone surviving. We're used to the happy ending, and they're just like, yeah, but guess what? That's not how life works. You don't get the happy ending. Like you might get your vengeance, but you're not gonna be around to see it, come to full fruition sometimes. And I think the way they shoot their stories is also very clear and gritty, which sounds off, but like, I mean in the sense where it's just like you get to see everything that's happening in frame, like we're not chopping away too often. You're usually getting to see that the whole thing take place. So in turn, when someone gets a hit, when someone falls, when someone's in a chase of something, you're always like, oh, like, you kind of feel that jump of like, oh, damn, like, are they going to get hurt? They're going to make it, you know? But that's that grittiness where it's just like,
Yeah.
it feels raw, you know? And I've loved every series that I've watched that kind of tackles that kind of way of filmmaking.
And that is the last one that we have for this episode. You know, I want to thank everyone for joining us for this month's episode of Stay Tuned, where we cover some of the movies and TV shows that are coming out for that month. There might be some that we didn't touch on or we didn't discuss. If there are any ones that we missed that you feel should be on our radar, please, put it down in the comments. We're always looking to find new projects to watch ourselves, whether it's movies or TV shows. Let us know if, any of the ones that we did talk about, if you're looking forward to or you're not looking forward to at all. We always want to hear what your thoughts are in this one. If you enjoyed this episode and want to catch any of our previous Stay Tuned as well as future Stay Tuned episodes, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button at the bottom so you'll be alerted when we drop future episodes. If you didn't enjoy the episode, well, maybe one of our other ones will impress you a little bit more than this one did. You can also find us on all other platforms such as Spotify, Apple, wherever else podcasts are found. If you love our sterling personalities, or if you just want to hate follow us, you can find us and have a strong start at all the major platforms. As always, we might not have a strong start, but we also cannot guarantee a strong finish. Until next time, stay tuned.